English during this workshop.
Mm.
So let's begin with a short introduction of myself for those who don't know me yet, because I have already done a workshop a month ago about the branding. So I'm Jonathan Ravallec. I'm a marketing and branding consultant. I'm working with several incubators to help the new entrepreneurs, such as you, to establish their marketing and branding strategy. I'm also the co-founder of an agency, which is called After 5, specialized in branding. And as for my personal background, I've had many experiences in the telecom and fashion industry. I used to work with many brands as marketing and digital director. So I quite know the sectors of fashion in which many of you are present. Concerning the crowdfunding, I've been supporting entrepreneurs for several years in setting up their crowdfunding campaigns in all areas: fashion, tech, food, music, ecological transition, well, all the areas. So here are examples of brands I have supported for their crowdfunding campaign. So it's very diversified: cosmetics, fashion, application, and food, for instance. So I will begin with a short introduction to crowdfunding so that everyone will know what crowdfunding is. Then I will ask you some questions about your project, if it's well defined to launch a crowdfunding campaigns, because you can't launch a crowdfunding campaigns without having some bases in marketing and communication. Because you will know during all this workshop that crowdfunding is mainly marketing and communication subjects. It's not finance, it's marketing. And I will give you the rules for a successful crowdfunding campaign. Okay, so let's begin with a short definition of crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is a solution that allows you to finance your project by appealing to the general public through a platform. So the three conditions have to be necessary to have a crowdfunding campaign: finance, the general public, which can be your family, your friends, your community, your colleagues, people from Station F, for instance. And your campaign have to go through a platform: Ulule, KissKissBankBank for France, Indiegogo, Kickstarter for international. Crowdfunding has experienced very strong growth in recent years in the world. Here are the figures for France. So you can see the total amount collected through crowdfunding campaigns reached €1 billion in 21. And last year it was 1.8 billion, sorry, last year, and 1 billion in 2020. So during the 2020 and 2021, a big increase have occurred in the crowdfunding campaigns. So it's mainly due to the COVID crisis. Okay. So here are the figures for France. The trend is quite the same in all European countries, in America, and in the major part of Asia. Okay, more and more entrepreneurs makes crowdfunding campaigns to launch their product or to launch their service. For your info, 460 new projects have been launched each day in France. This means that you have to distinguish yourself to attract the baker, to attract the contributors to the campaign. Before I show you this figure, have you the idea that there were so many projects launched each day in France in crowdfunding? Is it a surprise for you, or yes?
No, not at all.
Not at all, Patricia?
No, finally, I think due to the number of startups,
Yes.
I'm not so surprised.
Yes, more and more startups, so more and more crowdfunding campaigns. That's quite logical, but it's very, very huge. So imagine tomorrow you launch your crowdfunding campaign. You have to be aware that 459 projects will be launched also this day. So it will be very hard to seduce the contributors, the bakers. Just a point concerning the wording. A baker is the English term for the contributors in crowdfunding campaigns. Okay, and a perk, P-E-R-K, is the English term for contributions. We can use the two terms, but maybe I will use perks or contributors or contributions. So here you have the main crowdfunding platforms in France with Indiegogo and Kickstarter, which are the two platforms that you will have to work if you have an international product or an international service, for instance here, okay? If you want to reach only the French market, Ulule or KissKissBankBank are the most common one because they are very generalist. You have to know that there are two kinds of platform in crowdfunding. Generalist one, which accepts any kind of project. So there are many, many people on it. Okay, you can launch a crowdfunding campaign concerning fashion, furniture, food, application, tech, etc. And you have specializing platforms such as My Major Company, Mimosa, or Energy, for instance, which are only dedicated to some areas. For instance, My Major Company only accepts campaigns concerning music. Mimosa only accepts campaigns concerning food or agriculture. NRFIP only campaigns concerning the energy or the ecological transition. Kango only campaigns concerning Brittany, the Britons, for instance. So how to choose between a generalist campaign, a generalist platform, sorry, or a specific one? If you have a large objective, you have to reach many contributors. So you will have to go through a generalist platform. If you don't have a huge objective, a large objective, but you want to reach people that know perfectly what you do because they share your value, they share your passion, you have to choose a specific one. Because on a specific one, bakers, the average baker is more important than a generalist one. Okay, so why run a crowdfunding campaign? There are several reasons. The first one, and everyone will know it, is to have funding. But be careful because launching a crowdfunding campaign requires many time, many energy. So if you ask for a small objective, maybe the return on investment will not be present. You can run a crowdfunding campaign also to test your project, to test your market, to test your service. Because when you launch a crowdfunding campaign, you communicate a lot on what you are, your vision, your mission, your values, what you want to offer to the public. So a crowdfunding campaign allows you to have many comments from the crowd and many data to develop your products, to develop your service. It can also be used to work on your notoriety, only to make you know, to make you well known, to work your branding towards your community and to reach new distributors. It can also use to federate a community because you will make many communication, and the main objective is to increase your Instagram community, Facebook community, LinkedIn community. So by communicating on your crowdfunding campaign, you will reach new people, which will be new followers for you. And if your crowdfunding campaign is successful, then it creates a leverage effect on other kind of fundings, business angels, public subsidies, etc., etc. because if your campaign is successful, you have shown that your product fits the market. So the business angel will be more ready to support you, to give you more money than the crowdfunding campaigns. There are different kinds of crowdfunding campaigns. Well, the well-known is donation, such as in Ulule, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, My Major Company, and so on. So it's donation without rewards, donation with rewards, or more common, presets. Okay. You have also loan, investment, and royalties, but I won't speak about this during this workshop, because if you launch a crowdfunding campaigns with investment or royalties, it means that your objective is very, very huge, and you have reached a certain kind of maturity in the development of your business. Okay. Donation campaign, for instance, the average amount collected is 7,000 euros with rewards. So for instance, if you forecast to launch your crowdfunding campaign with an objective of 30,000 euros, it's very, very high compared to the majority of the campaigns. So you will have to make many efforts to communicate, to have subscribers. Okay. And just to know, the average contribution is 73 euros. Depending on the campaigns, depending on the products, we can say it's between 50 euros and 80 euros. Okay. But when it's fashion, for instance, it's more 80 euros in presets. So is your project well defined? Before launching a crowdfunding campaign, you have to be sure that your value proposition is well defined and unique, because you will have to distinguish yourself towards all the crowdfunding campaigns that will be launched the same days. So if you don't have something special, something unique, it will be very difficult to have the contributors. Okay, so your value proposition must be perfect. The second aspect is that your targets must be well identified, because when you will communicate for your crowdfunding campaigns, you will communicate towards your targets and only towards your targets. You don't have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of energy to spend through wrong targets. Okay, you have to go to the point directly with the crowdfunding campaigns. And finally, your brand strategy must be laid out. Your vision, your mission, your logo, your storytelling must be defined before the launch of the campaign, because these are very, very important for crowdfunding campaigns. If you don't have a storytelling, if you don't have a story to attract people to your team, to your business, to your activity, it will be very, very difficult to reach your goal, to reach your objective. And the large majority of campaigns that failed is because the brand strategy is not good. So the rules for successful crowdfunding campaigns. The time. It's a very hard job to launch a crowdfunding campaigns. You have to take into account that you will have a minimum between 2 to 6 months, depending on your project, of preparation before launching your campaign. If you don't have a strong community, and strong is not a huge community, but it's a community that which is very engaged, it will be very difficult to succeed in your crowdfunding campaign. So take time before, take time to prepare all your communication strategy, take time to prepare all your branding strategy, take time to take pictures, to make shootings, photo shootings, to have very good photos to present to your future community, to your future subscribers. It's very, very important. The second aspect, you don't have to launch a campaign during holiday seasons, because subscribers are not in front of their computer to support you to the campaign. Okay, so launch a campaign from January, mid-January to end of June, and to September, mid-September to mid-December. So the key is to a successful campaign to be able to federate a community. And that's the most important. So through your storytelling, so your branding strategy, so through you, because when you launch the crowdfunding campaigns, the main job is to present, to introduce what you do, to introduce why you have launched your product, why you have launched your service. You have to be totally transparent. You have to show you, because the contributors don't know you. You have to seduce them. So you have to show you. You know, you don't have to be shy. If you're shy, it will be very difficult. Okay. You have to have a clear and successful product or service. Okay. So product or service that can be bought directly. You have to have a realistic goal. Okay. Don't ask 30,000 euros if you don't need this 30,000 euros. Okay. If the minimum you need to launch a product or your service, or to launch your campaign, your communication campaign, is only 5,000 euros, take this as your objective. Okay. Because it will be more reachable, and you will have more chance to have more money than 5,000 euros. Okay. The fourth key is to have desirable perks. Okay, so desirable contributions in line with your project. Don't put goodies to put goodies. No. And you have your project as detailed as possible. You have to be transparent. People give you money. You have to show them. You have to tell them how you will spend the money they give to you, euro by euro. Okay, so presentation of your product, everything must be clear, everything must be perfect, everything must be detailed. Details, details, details. So take time to describe precisely your product, the features, the characteristics, etc., etc. Introduce the team. Contributors, before supporting a project, support a team. Because you're cool, because you're nice, they will give you money. If you don't smile, if you're not cool, they won't give you money. Introduce yourself. Introduce your partners. Transparency on the timeline, on the way you will spend the funds, be perfectly transparent. Contributors have to know perfectly what will be the next steps after the crowdfunding campaigns. Work on your content, good photo, good pictures, a good video to introduce yourself, to introduce your product, your service. Okay. Photos, videos show to the contributors how professional you are. So if you show that you're professional, they will be more likely to give you money. So that's the main point. So be careful about perks. Okay. Perks must be in relation with your product or your service. Prepare a communication plan in advance, because when the campaign will be launched, you won't have time to create a communication plan. So prepare it in advance so that you will be quiet. And the more important for me is the importance of the community. Almost all campaigns I have supported that have failed is because the community was not strong enough or engaged enough. So why community is important? Because there are 3 cycles of bakers. The first cycle is your family and your friends. The second cycle is virality of the first cycle, the friends of your friends, your colleagues, your partners, etc. And the third cycle is followers and general public. The main mistake entrepreneurs do when they launch their crowdfunding campaigns is that they communicate before to the general public through their community, before communicating to their family and their friends. Imagine an empty restaurant when you visit a town, for instance, when you're on travel. Do you want to go there? Do you want to go in an empty restaurant? No. It's the same for the crowdfunding campaigns. So when you launch a campaign, ask your family and your friends to support you first. So they give money. So it shows that your crowdfunding campaigns have an interest. Okay? When your family and your friends have contributed to the campaigns, then you can communicate to the second circle. And when the second circle have subscribed, have made their counterparties, you can communicate to the third cycle and your community. In a general way, your family and your friends must represent 30% of the objective. And it's an advice to communicate, to begin the communication towards your community, your social community, when your objective have reached 60 to 70% of your objective, of the total. Okay? The main mistake and the reason why many campaigns fail is because when the objective is at 0%, the first day of the launch of the campaign, the entrepreneurs communicate towards their community. It's 0%. You don't have the envy to participate to the campaigns because you don't know if it will be a success. So you won't give money. Okay? Up. So in conclusion, before launching the campaign, you have to calculate the feasibility of your project. What's the financing need? What is the average baker you forecast? It will depend on the cost of your products, if you do early birds or not. How many contributors do you need to reach the objectives compared to the average baker you have forecast? So if this number of contributors is too important, maybe crowdfunding campaigns is not a solution for you. Okay? If it's not important and you think that it's reachable, so you can launch a crowdfunding campaign, it will be a success. Make a plan. And I will say, make a plan from today. Detail each action you need to put in place in terms of marketing, branding strategy, for instance, targeting, value proposition, communication, of course. Identify the role of each in the team if you're several persons in the team, okay, so that you can distribute the parts. And make sure to plan as many actions as possible in advance, because when the crowdfunding campaign will be launched, you will be only dedicated to work on your community, to answer to the question, to put the energy to make the community contribute to the campaigns. After the campaign, the entrepreneurs are exhausted. They take holidays because it requires a lot of energy. So prepare as many actions as possible in advance. And if you need to be accompanied, do not hesitate to do it before the launch of a campaign. Do you have any question about this workshop, about what I said? What I've said?
Sorry, yes, I have a question. You have said that crowdfunding campaign must be launched two or 6 months before the launch.
Yes.
In this 2 or 6 months, these 2 or 6 months have
Maybe in French, if you want.
Ouais, peut-être. Excusez-moi. En fait, je ne saurais même pas le dire en français, c'est pour ça que je galère un peu. À quoi ils vont servir exactement ces 2 à 6 mois? À partir de quand on définit que c'est 2 à 6 mois, soit on lance dans 2 à 6 mois?
Okay. So the main part is your community. You have to prepare your community to the launch of the campaign. And when I say community, it's larger. It's your family, your friend, the friend of your friend, and your social community. For instance, you have to ask to all the members of your family if they are ready to support you for this campaign and how much they will give you. So you have to prepare a sheet, for instance, with all the name and the amount that they are ready to give you to support you. So it takes time to speak about your project, about your service, about your product to all the members of your families, to speak about your project to the friend of your friends. So you have to make a payroll, so you have to make dinner, you have to make lunch, you have to make breakfast. It requires also a lot of time to communicate about potential partners, for instance, association, clubs, etc., that will increase your voice for these campaigns. I haven't spoken about the influencers, but they are very important also for the crowdfunding campaigns. So you have to know them, you have to know who are the most important for your campaigns. You have to reach them, to make knowledge with them. So when your campaign will be launched, the influencers will talk to your community, to their community, sorry. Preparing a communication plan is very long also. Preparing all the materials for the communication is very long. Mainly if you don't have any funds to make work an agency. So if you do by your own, it takes time. It's also sometimes to prepare your storytelling, to define all your branding strategy. So when you add all these elements plus your daily work, you have to take into account that 2 to 6 months is a good period.
Okay, so if I haven't a strong community right now, I can't launch my crowdfunding campaign in, for example, 1 month.
No, I don't advise.
Okay,
no,
thank you.
Except if your family and your friends and the
Yes.
friends of your friends, so the first cycle and the second cycle, can allow you to reach 100% of your objective.
100%, okay.
Yeah, so by this way, your crowdfunding campaign will be more likely to be a communication campaign than a fundraising campaign. You know,
okay, so
because
the objective of the crowdfunding campaign must be defined in our family and friends and friends of our friends.
You have to take into account that 30% of your crowdfunding objective must be delivered by your family, your first cycle, family and friends.
And I have just a second question, and after I stop, you have described Ulule and KissKissBankBank. Which one is a better platform to launch a crowdfunding campaign, and what are the difference between them?
When you shoot a crowdfunding campaign, I advise you to look all the campaigns that have been successful on these platforms, to know how many objectives they have reached, how many contributors have contributed to the campaigns. For me, Ulule is very, very good for fashion, for cosmetics, because in majority there are many women on it. KissKissBankBank, if you have an application, if you are in tech, it will be better.
Okay.
But It depends, but it depends because it depends on your community also, because Ulule is more well-known than KissKissBankBank. So it's more easy to give money on Ulule than KissKissBankBank.
Okay.
So there is this point also to take into account.
Okay.
I will say, if you are in the fashion industry, if you are in the cosmetic industry, in the beauty industry, in the health industry, in the fit industry, Ulule.
Okay, I'm in the furniture industry, but my persona is more a woman. So I may choose Ulule.
It's furniture. It's furniture with a trendy aspect.
Yes.
Okay, Ulule.
Okay. Okay. Because
maybe we can discuss after.
Yes,
if you can show me some picture of what you do, or if you have a social page, for instance, or a landing page. But if you're in trendy furniture, I will say Ulule.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a question. You said
Yes,
once it's launched, you don't have the time to do anything else and you're completely tired at the end. So what does it mean? What do you have to do when it's launched concretely?
You have to, you have to seduce all the contributors to the campaign. So you have to seduce your family. You have to phone to them. You have to email them, asking to contribute to the campaigns. Okay, my campaign is launched today. Please send the contribution you have forecast. Okay, so you have to be in touch with all your family, all your friends. Then you have to be in touch with the friends of your friends. You have to communicate daily through your social community when you have beginning the communication with them. Each day, we need you, please support us. We need you, because if you're not there, our product, our service won't be launched, and we will have to stop what we are working on for 2 years, 3 years, no matter what. But every day, please, 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 please. So you have to produce video, stories, pools, more than usual. You have to be in touch with journalists. You have to be in touch with influencers. You have to be in touch with maybe a club, maybe an association that have huge membership, which can contribute also to the campaigns. So you have to make partnerships. Okay, partnerships that have the same target of you. Okay, it requires many time. If the campaign is not on a good trend, you have to make social ads. You have to make maybe blog articles. You have to make Google ads. You have to prepare many things, because a crowdfunding campaign cannot be a fail, because it will give to your company a very bad image, the image of a product, of a service that is not expected by the public, by the target. So it's a very, very wrong signal you send to your bank, to your maybe future investors, business angel, etc. Maybe to incubators also, because if they see that the first campaign you've launched is not a success, it will be difficult to support you. And for you, it's not very, very good, because all the energy you've put in your project, it can be very, very, very difficult. And in terms of Google, when you type the name of your company, Ulule or KissKissBankBank or Indiegogo will reach on the first position. So the first thing that people will see is that your campaign is a fail. So it's very, very, very bad. In terms of personal branding, it can be catastrophic, because you are not succeeded in convincing people to support you.
Okay, so if I well understand, we have to put a low objective.
Yes.
So our
The minimum you
campaign
need.
is a success, and it send a positive message to others, etc., etc., etc.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's perfect to communicate when you have reached 200% of your objective rather than 100% of your objective. Because it shows that your campaign has many success. Okay, so I advise you to put the minimum objective you need to launch your product or service. And you say to your community on Ulule or Indiegogo, etc., okay, if we reach 5,000 euros, we can launch the product. But if we reach 8,000 euros, we will do anything. We will do something else. Thanks to you. But you have already planned this in your plan. Soral, you have a question?
Yes, I do have one. Jonathan, I mean, when you are more on B2B business, tech business, let's say telecommunication, for instance, since you came from telecom, do you still recommend crowdfunding? And if the answer is yes, which one of those platforms is more suitable?
I will say yes if the objective is very high, where you can launch a crowdfunding campaign, not with donation, but with loan or investment or royalties, for instance. Okay. Ulule, KissKissBankBank, Indiegogo, and so on are more B2C platform. So if you speak about B2B with if you speak with a B2B message, with a B2B tone of communication, with B2B values, etc., they won't understand what you say. They won't understand why you're here, so they won't contribute to your campaign.
Exactly.
Okay. So they are specific platforms dedicated to B2B. For instance, with Seed, I put here on the presentation, or Enerfib in the energy, for instance. But you have specific campaigns for B2B. The thing is that it won't be donation, it will be loan, investment, or royalties. It means that you will give a special place to contributors in your company. It's not the same. Is it clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Valentina.
Yes, thank you. I have a little question. So I am not French, I'm Ukrainian. So if we talk about family, my whole family is in Ukraine. So this is quite difficult to join all my family to support me. And also I'm working alone on my project.
Mm-hmm.
So in these conditions, it might be a fail at the beginning because I won't be able to communicate right to my community.
You can do something, which is not very fair, but you can do something. Maybe you have some money on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can buy your pre-sales. You can buy your first contributions.
Okay, so it's like a little.
It's not really fair. I'm not ashamed of telling you that, because you must know that many campaigns which are very, very, very successful, with a huge objective overtaken, is because they have put money before by their own.
Okay.
Okay, I take an example. Maybe you know this brand Respire in France.
Yes, yes. Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, so you can do this. You can do this at the beginning of the campaign, and you can do this at the end of the campaign if you see that you won't reach the objective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I suggest to have some personal money to be ready to put in the campaigns to reach the objective. Okay, so you can do first at the beginning of the campaign or at the end of the campaign.
Okay, thanks. And do you have any examples of some businesses that was launched with foreigners like me? Or
to what? Sorry.
Do you know someone who is not French who has launched his crowdfunding and it was successful?
In France, on a French platform?
Yes.
Well, you have to know that it's not a question of, well, I have not the word in French.
You can speak in French if you want to.
I don't find the word in French. En fait, c'est pas une question d'origine.
Okay.
It's not a question of origin. If you're not French, but you look very friendly, you speak well to your community, you detail perfectly your product, your service, finally you seduce people. They will contribute to the campaign. Because finally they will support you and they will buy the product before all the other people. You know, there will be privileged. Ils seront privilégiés.
Privileged, yes.
Well, they will be privileged. And when they support a crowdfunding campaign, it's because they want to have the product first. You know, so if you're from Ukraine, if you're from Sweden, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't speak well French, it's not the problem, because if you say that I'm Ukrainian, sorry, I don't very speak French, or I make mistakes, etc. No problem. Okay, we understand perfectly.
I speak quite well, but I still make some mistakes, so I'm very afraid that people won't get it. So
that's not a problem, and I will say that it can be a strength, because you will be totally transparent towards the community, towards the people on Ulule, for instance. So it won't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
If your project is good, if your contributions are good, if you look good, if you look very friendly, everything is in place.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, we are a family here, Jonathan, so we can help each other.
You're with Valentina?
Yes,
okay.
Valentina, that we are all a family here.
Okay,
I was complaining, but
okay, your family. Okay, your family, of course.
So we can help each other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any question? À bientôt, Nathalie. What's the best platform to reach international perks like Germany, for instance? I will say it depends on your strategy. If you're looking for the German market, I will suggest you to work with a German platform. So you have to look which are the best German platform towards your project, towards your service. Not Indiegogo, not Kickstarter, because it's more for English spoken people. Sorry, it's more for English spoken people, not Germany.
Sorry, and Ulule is not possible because actually I am living in Munich, and so I made a lot of relationships here. So I think I have a part of my community that is also so in Germany, but I don't want really to do 2 campaigns.
No,
but I know.
It's difficult to make 2 campaigns. You can do a first campaign to launch the product and another one, for instance, 6 months after. to develop a new service on your product or a new feature, a new characteristic. You can do this, for instance.
Okay.
If you want to launch a product with a small amount, maybe you can launch on Ulule to reach your French target.
Yeah.
If you have a French target, it can be an advice.
But Ulule does not allow the people from Germany to.
They allowed, yes,
Ah.
they allowed that they will find a French platform with all the text in French, for instance.
Ah, okay, because I saw Ulule on the internet. It's also in English.
Yes, it's in English, exactly.
And a lot of relationships I have here are from one big French and German group. So I think English is okay.
If they understand English, it can be okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have to say something also that I have not mentioned yet. Do not count on the platforms to make your communication. The platform, Ulule, ClickBankBank, Indiegogo, etc., are just a tool to receive funds and to push your campaign. They won't make any communication when you will launch your campaign. They will only make communication if they see that your campaign can be successful or is successful, because for them is very good communication. Okay, so it's when you will reach, for instance, 75% of your objective that they can, it's not an obligation for them, they can push your campaigns towards a newsletter, for instance, to the community. But they won't make communication for you at the launch of your campaign. And if you have difficulties to finish a campaign, they won't make any communication, zero. I have frozen everyone.